Today, we're taking a look at the history of Marvel Comics and how it went from being the top comic publisher to facing significant financial and reputation losses. From its origins as timely publications to its golden age, we'll explore the highs and lows of Marvel's journey and the factors that led to its current state. Join us as we delve into the past, present, and possible future of Marvel Comics. So let's get started. In recent years, Marvel has faced some major setbacks. It's like the mighty Thor losing his hammer, the Hulk losing his rage, or Iron Man losing his arc reactor. The company has been hit hard by the poor reception and performance of its recent releases, like Black Widow and Eternals. It's a far cry from just a few short years ago, when Marvel was on top of the world, with a reputation for producing successful and well-received films that left audiences cheering and wanting more. But how did we get here? How did Marvel's fortunes change so quickly? To understand, we need to take a trip down memory lane and look back at the company's origins. It's a journey through time that's filled with both triumphs and challenges, but one that ultimately led to the creation of some of the most beloved characters in pop culture. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and join us as we explore the history of Marvel Comics. Now, in the early years, Marvel, then known as Timely Publications, was a force to be reckoned with, like Captain America taking on Hydra or the Human Torch burning up the competition. They had hit after hit, with popular superheroes selling millions of copies. Comics were a relatively new medium at the time, and Marvel was on a mission to make them mainstream. They were like Tony Stark building the first Iron Man suit, taking something new and making it better than anyone could have imagined. But as World War II came to an end, patriotic sentiments began to die down, and the popularity of patriotic superheroes started to fade. It was like Captain America putting down his shield and retiring to a quiet life in the suburbs. But Marvel, like any good superhero team, adapted to the changing times. They moved into other genres like horror and comedy to survive. It was like the Hulk turning into a comedy act, or the X-Men fighting off zombies. But just like any good origin story, the transition wasn't easy. It was a battle, like Thor fighting the Midgard serpent. But Marvel persevered, and just like any good superhero, they came out on top. When Stan Lee and Jack Kirby came on board at Marvel, it was like Captain America and Iron Man teaming up for the first time. They were a dynamic duo that would come to define the company's future. They were like Peter Parker and Harry Osborn, two best friends with a shared passion. They recognized the potential of the comic industry and wanted a slice of the action, like Tony Stark wanting to be part of Stark Industries. They were determined to make a name for themselves, like Thor wanting to prove himself worthy of Mjolnir. But they didn't just want to be another superhero team, they wanted to be the best. They focused on quality and creativity instead of quantity. It was like the Fantastic Four creating a new element, or Spider-Man developing new web-slinging techniques. They created new characters such as Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four to compete with the likes of Batman and Superman. These series were not as one-dimensional as previous ones. It was like comparing a black and white comic book to a full-color graphic novel. They had complex motivations and personal issues, like Peter Parker struggling with great power and great responsibility. This approach proved to be incredibly successful. It was like Thor hitting the Grand Master with a lightning bolt. It marked the beginning of Marvel's golden age, like Captain America lifting Thor's hammer. It was a new era for Marvel and for comics as a whole. It was like Iron Man creating a new suit. It was revolutionary and it changed the game. This is how Marvel became the household name it is today, and it's all thanks to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's vision, creativity, and determination to be the best. During this period, it was like the Avengers assembling for the first time. Many iconic characters such as the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and the X-Men made their debut, and they were all heroes in their own right, like Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Comics were appealing to both children and young adults, like Peter Parker being a teenage superhero and Tony Stark being a billionaire playboy. They were also embraced by the 60s counterculture as a new artistic medium, like the X-Men being a metaphor for civil rights. By 1968, Marvel was selling 50 million comics a year. It was like Thor hitting the box office with his hammer. The distribution limitations were lifted. It was like Captain America breaking free from his ice prison, and this allowed them to build on their success. They were unstoppable, like the Hulk on a rampage. But just like any good superhero story, there was a twist. A rift between founders Stan Lee and Jack Kirby threatened to tear the company apart, like the Avengers splitting into two teams. It was a battle, like Thor fighting the Midgard serpent. But, like any good superhero team, they found a way to overcome the challenge. Eventually, Kirby realized his mistake, and in 1972, Marvel finally surpassed DC in sales. It was like Thor defeating Loki. The next few years were immensely successful for Marvel, as they maintained their dominance throughout the entire decade. It was like the Avengers winning against Thanos. It was a glorious time for Marvel and for comics as a whole. They were changing the game, creating new heroes, and telling stories that resonated with readers, just like Tony Stark creating a new suit. This is how Marvel became the household name it is today, and it's all thanks to the characters, creators, and readers that made it all possible. The 1970s were a tough time for the comic industry. It was like Thor losing his hammer or Captain America losing his shield. It was a period of decline in popularity, and comics were becoming a more niche product, like the X-Men being seen as outcasts. But, just like any good superhero team, Marvel adapted to the change. While other comic companies were like Iron Man without his suit, trying to gain new fans in a shrinking market, Marvel instead focused on catering to their existing fan base, like the Avengers taking care of their own. It was a smart move, like Tony Stark building a new suit. They knew their fans were loyal, like Captain America's shield being indestructible, and they were determined to keep them happy. They were like Peter Parker, always looking out for the little guy. This strategy proved to be a success. It was like Thor hitting the Grand Master with a lightning bolt. Marvel was able to maintain its position as the top comic publisher, like Captain America lifting Thor's hammer. They were still the kings of the comic world, like Iron Man being the leader of the Avengers. Even as sales began to drop, Marvel never gave up, like the Hulk never giving up on a fight. They continued to innovate, like Tony Stark creating new suits and create new characters that resonated with their fans, like the X-Men being a metaphor for civil rights. They were always pushing boundaries, like Peter Parker being a teenage superhero. This is how Marvel became the household name it is today, and it's all thanks to the characters, creators, and readers that made it all possible. In conclusion, Marvel has had a long and storied history filled with both highs and lows. The company has always been able to adapt to changing times, and it's this ability to change and evolve that has kept them at the top of the comic industry for so long. However, in recent years, Marvel has struggled to maintain its dominance and has faced significant financial and reputation losses. Only time will tell if the company will be able to bounce back and regain its position as the top comic publisher. We hope you enjoyed learning about the company's origins and how it went from being a small publisher to one of the biggest names in entertainment. From its golden age to its recent struggles, we've explored the highs and lows of Marvel's journey. We hope this video gave you a better understanding of the factors that led to its current state and insight into what may come in the future. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. We'll see you in our next video.